You ever notice the wars that happen on social media when it comes to camera gear? I cannot tell you how many times I've scrolled through, whether I'm on Canon pages, Nikon pages, Canon reviews, comment sections on YouTube videos, Instagram comments, Instagram stories, Instagram posts, where they're always putting one camera against the other. There is an obsession with having the best gear, and I totally understand that. As a photographer, I want to feel like I'm shooting with the best gear. I want that gear to bring me the best output possible that I possibly can get. Yet, with everything, I think there needs to be a line that is drawn. And I've especially noticed that on the comment section to even my own YouTube videos, where I post a video about how great a camera is, and immediately I get all of these comments about how there's another camera that's better. You know, you're lying, you're wrong, you're biased, etc., etc., etc. I don't blame those people, because what often happens is you buy that camera, right? Say I buy a Canon camera, and I don't want that buyer's remorse to kick in. I don't want to look at someone else's camera that was the exact same price and go, oh crap, I should have bought their camera over the camera that I have in front of me. But that's what most people forget. One of the most important lessons, in my opinion. This was taught to me by my photography mentor and current photography professor, Professor Rick Falco, who is a celebrated Nikon photographer. He's had exhibits at international photography competitions, and he's changed the world with many of his photos. He asked me a question. He said, "Who's taking the photos?" And I said, "Well, I'm taking the photos with the camera." He said, "No. Who's taking the photos? You or the camera?" And that's when he said, "You're taking the photos, not the camera. The camera is a tool. The camera is a means to help you get somewhere. The camera is a means to help you get a photo that you've been thinking of, that you want to be able to exhibit to everybody else. That's all it is. It's a tool. It's something to help you get a photo. Whether that tool is the best in its class or the lowest, you can still get great photos." Another story that I think is brought up a lot is you look at these photos that were taken back in World War II that made it on the cover of Life magazine. Of course, if you pixel peep, you're gonna find that, oh, that photo was a little bit blurry, oh, that photo is very, very noisy, etc., etc., etc. But it's still an amazing photo. It's an impactful image. It means something. Whoever took that photo put a stop on that current time period. He or she put a stop on that current moment in time to be able to capture it forever, so people like us, many, many, many years later, will be able to look at that photo and appreciate it. So you are the camera. The camera is not something with its own brain trying to help you get the best photos. If you know how to use your camera to the best proportion you can possibly get, that is what's going to get you good photos. Not because you're using a fancy camera. I'm sure you've walked around and seen people much younger, much more inexperienced than you, walking around with a massive lens, a massive camera, and you may be blown away going, oh my God, how could they have possibly afforded a $16,000 lens paired with a $5,000 camera? That just seems impossible to most people. Well, what ends up happening is maybe it's a gift, maybe they're borrowing it, but what I found is sometimes I see those individuals' images. Sometimes they're great, but oftentimes they're not as good as you may have thought, because it's not the equipment that's getting them the photos, it's their eye. I first started out taking nature photography photos with my trusty Canon SL2 back in 2000, what? It must have been 2017, and a Tamron 18-400 millimeter. If I were to show people some of these images that I've taken with that camera, they would have thought that I would have taken it with something like a Canon 100-400 millimeter 5.6, or maybe even one of the f4 lenses. But the images I got were images I earned through capturing a moment or a place in time with the composition that I had, that I used, and that I saw to be able to capture that image as a whole. I guess what I'm trying to say is people get so caught up on trying to get the best gear, they get so jealous so quickly. That's one thing that photography and videography seems to have just kind of plaguing it, is jealousy. People look at each other's images and they go, I could do better, my images are better, and your images are Well, the way I look at it is if I see someone with a great image, I'm not gonna get jealous. Sure, I may be like, oh, that's an amazing image. I wish I can get something like that, but I'm not gonna be jealous. That's gonna be an inspiration for me. That's going to be, wow, look at that amazing image that this, I don't know, 15-year-old kid took of this owl. It's better than any other photo of owl that I've ever taken. That inspires me to go, wow, if this person can do it, if this person had the drive and the energy and put in the work to do it, I'm sure that I can too, because I'm passionate and I'm a go-getter, probably like this person is. And that person, all of a sudden, you can make it so that that person turns from this, like, I don't know, negative source of energy, you know, this jealousy source of energy, and turns it into more of a positive. This person's enhancing your experience. So remember, you are the camera. You are the photographer. You are the one who's taking the photos, not your camera. Whether you have a Canon T3i or a Nikon D850, it doesn't matter. Okay? It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're shooting with. What matters is your eye, the amount of effort you put in, and the places that you can go to get great images. I'm a tech head, so you're going to see a lot of reviews about different camera equipment. Camera equipment's awesome. I love tweaking around with it. I love seeing what camera companies are coming up with that is pushing photography to the next level. But in the end, it's all up to you about how you're gonna take your photos and how you're gonna take your images to the next level. That's it.